Hello everybody. Um, Another video about the ego. That's the battle of the egos within Twin Flames part 2. Um, this just to remind you about it's about the Twin Flames because they feel it more intense. But those things you can listen to it and you can apply into a real life, a real relationship to deeply understand of what's going on. And if you love the person, you love the person. And if that is a heart love, it's a heart love. But if you thinking about of the twin flame perspective, I gotta tell you that if you're just a person who's not in a twin flame relationship, is not ignited, that probably is going to look a little bit strange to you. But the vibrations, most of the people they know that they have expressing their emotions, and by expressing their emotions, that's the highest state they can be. There is actually another stage, which is the soul expressions with vibrations, who are very strong of it. Battle of the ego part 2 is about when the egos they fighting. There is this process called self-realization, and during this stage of self-realizations, the both two they're realizing things, that they're realizing stuff, and the souls they wants to get high, and they want to have this connection, they want to experience this connection, but the egos are still into the why. There is still the part of I, there is no part of the commitment of we. This separation that it's been for so long, it is pointing it out of the realization of what's going on and what happened into it. Uh, the part of the ego, it's the one who destroyed the relationship in the first place. If you take a look at the average relationship, it gets destroyed because, hey, you bought your car and you never bought me the shoe closet that I wanted, or um, you buy everything about her, and when you go out and say, hey, I want to put some toolbox in the garage, and it's like, sorry, we don't have money, you gotta pay the credit cards, you know. I mean, you gotta go get some work. You need to work more overtime. And you're like, really? I've been working for years and years, you know, and I deserve to get my toolbox. Here is the ego part gets into it instead of looking it inside. Have the understanding the man needs his toolbox. Okay, I'm talking about mechanic perspective because this is what I do. So the realization. So time passed by, you are separate. As the most of the twin flames, they really separate the part that's the inside. On the physical level, it's so much. And right now, the realization goes in. The realization of what's going on. And the ego is very bad quality. Ego sees everything as separate. So here is the part. The ego sees that the twin flames are separate. The ego doesn't look as the soul. That the soul's already the connection is already been made. The connection is already inside of it. And ego sees everything as separate. It sees everything as dual. So the part is the dual. He's the good. He's the bad. She's the bad. He's the good. And it creates this duality part. This dualations that we've been going to it. It's like I'm in a hell and she's in a heaven, or he's in heaven and I'm in hell. Look at me, I'm crying. Um, so the part is you over it. That you specifically the one who is awakened. You must remove the ego and see only the unity. And the unity we'll talk about down the road. It's when you actually begin to unite the things, not separate the things. Think only of unity, think only of the basics of everything. Because when you begin to unite things inside of you, You can't actually unite with someone if you doesn't understand that someone. So the beginning of the ignition stage is something very important that's going on between the twin flames. You give a portion of you inside of them, and they give portion of them inside of you. Now you feel them and they feel you. Those two portions of opposition of each other, they're the one that makes this connection. And right now, you begin to understand that part inside of you. If you are male with the male energy, you accepted the feminine energy, you begin to understand what it is to be a woman, how to treat woman. You begin to get yourself preparations to unite. And this is why you're learning this part. You begin to learn the part of unification within yourself first. You can unite with someone who you don't understand who that someone is. It just won't work. This is not like the old relationship. You just getting married, have a kid, you zip your mouth, you sacrifice yourself, you're suppressing your desires, you're suppressing yourself, and guess what? The relationship doesn't work. Why? Simply because there is no unification. There is no that part of the unification. And over time, the both twin flames will experience this realizations of what that is. So they can have the perfect partnership because they are striving for the partnership. They don't striving anymore as a relationship. They understand the relationship is just a relationship between the two people who are living physically together, but they don't have the soul unification yet. So, what's going on? Inside the soul is talking, and the soul is teaching. The one who takes the dark road, the low road, they will probably go through the sadness. They give into forgive all this part about the twin flames. They focus into the material world. They shifting their love. If that is a masculine, it's gonna be like I'm focused on my job. I'm just gonna focus on my career. I need to make a living, and you know what? I'm not interested in any of this twin flame stuff. But they wake up in the morning, and behind their mind is always you there. The females actually, with the female runner, they can go ahead and run, and that will be, you know what? I will focus on my kids, and I won't have a love about any about this stuff. I'm not worried about this. I have a husband, and this is where I'm gonna stay. But when they wake up in the morning and during the night, they have these dreams about you. The soul, it keeps talking. And what it's talking, spirituality transcendence is transforming the rigid ego attachments into acceptance of self and others. And now, over the time, the runner understands that this is attachments that they have outside of the twin flame is actually hurting them because it doesn't help them to solve the issue. The issue is still inside of the soul. The souls keep coming at night, and when the resistance coming low because you're about to sleep. And that's a lot of the twin flames. They wake it up in the morning at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and it's like, what's going on? That is the part when the soul tries to tell you, go fix your stuff, go do your realization, go do your work of it. And this is that transformation, that transcendence of spirituality that throughout the both units it shows up what they need to work on it. The beginning of realization that the ego was standing in the way of something very important, something more important than the physicality, something more important to you being in a relationship. Something else is more important. And that transformation process, it takes the beginning path of that the ego, it wasn't the right thing. And when you move on to that transformation, there you go. Sooner or later, you begin to see this. We are all one. Only egos, beliefs, and fears separate us. So, Egos. The ego, the me part, is the part that you finally understand that during the separation stage, the ego separates you. The egos, they separate you. The old beliefs. The beliefs that once you married, and that's it. You understand that the marriage part, it's actually gone. You understand there was something more important in the beginning as a twin flame, that the marriage that's been given to the society is something completely different than the marriage that it's supposed to be on the soul. And that part right now, it just hits you so hard. The awakened person understands this 100%. For them, the marriage certificate is nothing but a piece of paper, a man made piece of paper that stayed on top of the society. Those two are married, don't touch them anymore. Well, they're living together, don't touch them anymore. They don't need a marriage certificate. But out in the society, they have to have a marriage certificate, because if they're getting divorced, they have to get and pay again so they can get divorced. And that part, it's a man-made part to create more what? More income for the governments, more income to be generated. Someone has to pay money for something that's going on. And that is the beliefs. And the other thing that comes up, that is the fear to meet your twin again, the fear of living your truth, the fear the ego has, this fear inside that says, I love you, I'm sorry, and that part, it's beginning to walk itself inside. There's gonna be this feeling of guilt of what you did, specifically the one who is the runner is gonna feel the guilt inside of it. I shouldn't act, I shouldn't not get like that. And that is the part of the ego's realization. But there is still this battle inside of the person, this battle of the egos inside of it, that it's like, what's gonna happen if I do that? And then the fear comes in. What's gonna happen? How the others gonna thinking about me? The beliefs part coming in. And how are we living with that if the person doesn't do this or that? Ego. You have to understand that the beginning of this part, it's you to realize you're not working anymore for the I, you're working right now to unity, the we part. And what is the ego? The ego, it's not who you really are. And that's the part of a lot of the twin flames, they realize that during the separation stage, they were never that rude, they were never that silent, they were not that ignorant. There is something else happened to it. The other part is the anger, the aggravation, all this separation part of it. That was the ego. And the ego is your self-image. It's your social mask. The mask that you put in order you to fit to the box that's called society, religion, or your own culture. There's something that has the limitation. It is the role that you are playing. The role that you are playing, it's actually, you are like an actor in the movie. You play the movie to satisfy something else, but you can abandon your inner self, your soul. You can abandon your soul. Your soul is you. So the inner battles of the ego works in itself out. And the part of you still want to have the control and the sustaining power, because you live in fear. And this is the time when you understand you have to overcome your fear. That is the time of the realization when a lot of the twin flames, they're facing their fear into the mirror, and they're like, I can't live in fears anymore. I have no life. I fear I can meet him or I can see him. Why? Why do I fear? From what? What's going to happen if I see her? A lot of the females have this fear of it, By the way, I look at it on the YouTube, and the masculine part of watching my videos raise up. So now we are 82% to 17%. So things are coming up better for the masculine. I'm sorry, 18%. And the fear of meeting, it's huge, because there's gonna be again this part of the ego that's gonna say, he's gonna ignore me, she's gonna be silent, he's gonna be silent. But that is the part of a fear, because the fear can keep in you as the ego, because the ego wants the control. And if you still want to have the control inside of it, it's not gonna happen. And the soul teach you how to overcome this ego, and that battle is inside of you. It's gonna be taking a long time. For a lot of the twin flames, I seen it takes a long time because they still don't see that the fear does not help them. So, the real realization comes in. See, William Shakespeare, he's one of the biggest um, writers of all time of the humanity, and it's an amazing how you see that the twin flames has been existing for a very long time, but nobody had the powers, the dignity that comes out and bring it more out on a broad light. Back then, the things that were forbidden to talk about things like this. But what he says, it's actually the realization within the twin flames. So he says this: love me or hate me, both are in my favor. If you love me, I'll always be in your heart. If you hate me, I'll always be in your mind. And that's the part of the soul. The soul knows that if you love me, I'm always going to be with you. If you hate me, I'm always going to be behind in your mind. And you're going to live with me anyway. And a lot of the twin flames, when they realize that part, the battle of the egos inside of them, it begins to crack. The ego part, the fear part, the part of the rejection, the part of they to go and breaking everything apart. It's to begin to look at it. Okay, let's see what it is. Let's look at it a different perspective. And this is the time when they try to reconnect. The part of understanding of it was all about to destroy the ego part, the I part, so they can have the we part. And I wrote this part. The person you love in soul is to stay there, not because you love them, but because your soul is the place it's meant for them to be there by the universe. You understand when you grow so much within a spirituality, the universe part is going to play a huge role inside of you. You're going to begin to work with the universal energies. And those universal energies are powerful. They're very strong, but they're easy to work with. They're a very pure, clean energy that just so easy to move around because the universe is everywhere. And when you get to this point, you begin to understand that this twin flame connection, that was already orchestrated by the universe. And doesn't matter what you do, where you're going, if you are within another relationship, or whatever the situation might be, they're there. They're inside of you. That portion during the ignition state stays inside of you. That's for a reason. And that reason is because that portion is going to seek for itself. That's the portion of the call. That is the portion of why the twin flames, they're going to be seeking each other, because they're missing themselves. But that themselves is you. Because the portion of themselves now it's inside of you, and portion of you it's inside of them. And this is why it's called twin flames. You become the twins, the portion that you are part of each other, the complete unifications of the twin flames. And this is only understandable by the twin flames. They are becoming a union. But to remind you that before you begin the union, it's self-mastering work, self-mastering inner work. Until you get ready for union, you're working on yourself by your own. You do your inner work. You do your inner battle inside of you with your own ego. And this is why these battles of the ego that's inside of you, they are very crucial, because the ego has no place within a perfect partnership. Because if you don't understand this part, I'm actually making another video. It's the importance of the inner peace. Because when you begin to unite, you will understand one thing. The most important part will be the inner peace. Because without the inner peace, you will not going to have the understanding needed to be in a union with your twin. If you think that the most important part is a mission, no. If you don't possess the inner peace and you go on a mission with your twin, you're gonna mess that up the mission, simply because the inner peace is not there. You always, one or the other will try to steer and control the connection. You won't have this perfect understanding without the inner peace, you to do the things right. And that's going to be the beginning when the one portion gonna call the other portion, and there's gonna be again this part of reconnection, the part when the twin flames they want to be together, finally realizing that age doesn't matter, culture doesn't matter, religions doesn't matter. For some of them the sex doesn't matter, some of them are the same sex. And that is the part a lot of ask me, Dio, but what are you going to say about the same sex? Here's the thing, the universe teach you. You don't like gays, or you don't like lesbians part, guess what? It's time for you to teach you to learn how the things are. And that's the part. It's only learning processes about you. Because see, the soul doesn't really look at the part of the sexuality. The ego looks the part of the sexuality. The soul looks for its inner peace. When the both parts coming together, and they are together within they are together with that part as a final peace. But more about this on the importance of the inner peace within the twin flames. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope this battle of the egos videos, they help you out in your journey. I hope that you will go ahead and do your inner work, and I hope this kind of benefits to society. Thank you so much. Be love.